Most people lie to themselves about their progress. Not intentionally, they just don't have the data to know the truth. I've been tracking every workout since August 12th, 2022, nearly 800 sessions, every set, every rep, every weight. And I've been tracking every financial move with the same obsessive consistency. 3 years of data, 2 domains, 1 operating system. Today I'm going to show you what that data actually revealed, including the things I got wrong, the bottlenecks I didn't see coming, and the single insight that changed both my training and my investing at the same time. Because data doesn't tell you what you want to hear, it tells you what's true. And that's exactly what you need. Let me start with the training data, because the findings here surprised me. After 800 logged sessions, you'd expect the biggest insight to be about training volume, or exercise selection, or progressive overload, something inside the gym. It wasn't. The data showed that 5 days a week, my system was airtight, protein hit, calories tracked, training executed, progressive overload applied. Then the weekend happened. 2 days where consistency broke down, protein dropped, calories drifted, recovery was compromised. And those 2 days were quietly undermining 5 days of disciplined work. I wouldn't have found this without the data. I felt like I was doing everything right, because Monday through Friday, I was. The weekends were invisible to me until I looked at the numbers. That's not a willpower problem. That's a systems gap. And once I identified it as a systems problem, I could fix it like a systems problem. Not through motivation, but through structure. The fix wasn't dramatic. It was just closing the gap. Weekend meals got the same structure as weekday meals. The bottleneck was sealed. And here's what happened next. Progress resumed. Not because I trained harder, because I stopped sabotaging the system I already had. The benchmarks moved. 200 pounds on the bench, 295 on the squat. A body that is tracking toward its target weight with the same deliberateness a portfolio tracks toward a number. You cannot optimize what you cannot see. The data shows you where you're actually losing. The financial data taught me the same lesson in a different language. When I started paying serious attention to my finances in 2022, the mistake most people make is thinking the biggest lever is picking the right asset. Find the right stock. Find the right ETF. Find the thing that goes up the most. That's the financial equivalent of thinking the biggest lever in training is finding the perfect exercise. It's not. The biggest lever is consistency of inputs over time. Dollar cost averaging, putting the same amount in on the same schedule regardless of what the market is doing, is the financial equivalent of showing up to train when you don't feel like it. It removes emotion from the equation. It removes the temptation to optimize the timing instead of the system. My current system deploys capital on a structured weekly rotation across a set of income-generating positions. Covered call ETFs, chosen specifically for NAV stability, monthly distributions, and DRIP reinvestment. Every week, capital goes in on schedule. Every distribution gets reinvested automatically. The system runs whether I feel like engaging with it or not. The specific funds, the rotation mechanic, the tax architecture underneath it, that's a full video on its own. What matters here is the behavior pattern. Here's what 3 years of this kind of thinking has clarified. The bottleneck in most people's financial lives isn't their investment selection. It's the same weekend problem from the gym. It's the 2 days a week or 2 months a year where they interrupt the system. They panic sell, they move to cash, they stop the DCA when the market drops, which is exactly when they should be buying more. I never stopped. Through market volatility, through uncertainty, the inputs kept going in on schedule. Same way the training kept going regardless of motivation levels. The data from both domains says the same thing. The system is the asset. Protect the system. Here's where it gets mathematical. And this is the part most people never actually sit down and look at. Compounding isn't a concept. It's a mechanism. And when you watch it work in real data, both in the gym and in the portfolio, it stops being a thing you believe in and starts being a thing you can see. In the gym, compounding looks like this. Adding 5 pounds to a lift doesn't feel like much. but 5 pounds every month for 3 years is 180 pounds of additional loading capacity. That's not linear progress. The early gains built the base that made the later gains possible. In the portfolio, compounding looks like this. Every distribution that gets reinvested through DRIP buys more shares. Those shares generate their own distributions, which buy more shares. The position grows not just from what I put in, but from what the position itself generates. This is the J curve. Flat at first, then the bend, then the upward slope that accelerates over time. The reason most people don't experience this is they interrupt it. They see the flat part of the curve, the part where it doesn't feel like anything is happening, and they conclude the system isn't working. So they quit the gym in February. They sell the position in a down market. They stop before the curve bends. 3 years of not quitting, in the gym and in the portfolio, is what this channel is built on. I'm not at the end of the curve, but I'm past the flat part, and the data shows it. I promised you one insight that changed both my training and my investing at the same time. Here it is. The bottleneck is almost never where you think it is. In training, I thought I needed to optimize my workouts. The data showed I needed to fix my weekends. In investing, most people think they need to find better assets. The data shows they need to fix their behavior during volatility. In both cases, the answer wasn't doing more inside the system. It was finding the leak outside of it. This is why tracking matters. Not because the numbers are interesting, though they are, but because they reveal the gap between the story you're telling yourself and what's actually happening. I thought I was doing everything right. I had 800 workouts to prove I was showing up, but the data showed me the 2 days a week that were costing me months of progress. The same audit applied to your finances will show you your version of the weekend problem. The month you stopped the DCA, the rebalance you made based on fear, the position you sold at the bottom because the news was bad. You can't fix what you can't see, and you can't see it without data. August 12th, 2022, a barbell, 2 plates, and a composition notebook. That was the beginning of the data. 3 years later, both the body and the portfolio are unrecognizable compared to where they started. Not because of talent, because of tracking. So here's what 3 years of data actually taught me. Simplified. 1. The bottleneck is almost never where you think it is. Find it with data. 2. The system is the asset. Protect it during the flat part of the curve. 3. Compounding is not a belief. It's a mechanism. Let it run. That's the whole playbook. The next video breaks down the full weekly paycheck replacement system. The specific funds, the weekly rotation mechanic, how the distributions are engineered to land every single week, and what the income projection looks like over a 10-year horizon. The complete architecture. Numbers, not theory. If that kind of data-backed breakdown is what you came here for, subscribe. That's the content this channel exists to produce. And if something in today's video hit close to home, if you got your own version of the weekend problem, drop it in the comments. I read everyone. I'm built and bankrolled. Let's get to work.